Hello everyone, glad to be back. Today is the 23rd of May, now it's almost 12 o'clock, middle of the day by Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update today, in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments that you may find interesting, but before I start, let me say thank to all of you for your incredible support and attention that I did receive yesterday after my first update was removed from YouTube by administration of this platform. I'm truly grateful to you, and I did listen to your advice, and I will be a little bit more careful with my comments to make sure that I will use time that I have left on YouTube as effectively as I possibly can to develop this project, to develop other channels on alternative platforms, so that when YouTube will remove this channel, we will stay in touch and we will have lines of communication. Right now I have two active channels, one is on Telegram and one is on Rumble. You can see links under this video in the description box, and I hope you will subscribe if you are not subscribed yet. But I will also create additional pages on other platforms also, and of course I will share information about it with you. That being said, let's talk about news now, and of course major topic in Russia, Russian media, Russian society right now is situation in Belgorod region. As you know, yesterday Zelensky's regime conducted a military operation on Russian soil. Quite large sabotage group of Ukrainian forces entered Belgorod region, and initially they did had some success. They did manage to establish partial control over the few settlements in that region, but during the day, in the afternoon, federal and regional governments of Russia did make decision to impose anti-terrorist operation in Belgorod region, and then Russian side did conducted a military operation to neutralize saboteurs. Late afternoon we had information that 39 saboteurs were killed, few of them were captured alive, and according to latest news, during the night time majority of surviving saboteurs left Russian territory and get back to Ukraine, but a special military operation is in force still, because according to governor of Belgorod region, Vyacheslav Gladkov, Russian armed forces and security services are continuing operations to make sure that territories that was under attack are completely safe, and all saboteurs are neutralized or moved or pushed into Ukraine, where they come from. So during the day probably we will learn some more information about it, and of course I will share with you additional news on Telegram channel. That's why these reserve lines of communication is good, because especially Telegram, because I do constantly update my page there. And yes, many of you did ask yesterday questions, how it even possible that a large unit of Ukrainian forces enter Russian side and at least additionally had some success, or initially had some success. I have a same question also. I guess measures that was taken by Russian side to secure border with Ukraine are not enough, and much more has to be done, and probably Moscow will learn some lesson from this, and I guess border lines will be reinforced. Unfortunately, at least 10 civilians were wounded during this action of Zelensky's regime. I don't know about casualties among military personnel. Maybe we will learn about it during the day. But as I said, all the additional news will be on my Telegram channel. Right now, we only have statements from head of Belgorod region. Probably we will see some reaction from high-ranking Russian officials also, because it's only Peskov that did said few words about situation. He said that Putin is informed, President of Russian Federation is informed about this development, but when it comes to statements from high-ranking officials, President, Prime Minister, Defense Minister, or Head of Security or Secret Services, we don't see any statements from them, at least for now. Let me continue, and this is RIA Novosti's report, which is also about Belgorod region. According to Governor of region Vyacheslav Gladkov, Russian air defense systems did manage to shut down Ukrainian drones this morning. Seems like Zelensky's regime is trying to continue this incursion, or continue this story as long as they can, because of course we all understand that entire this operation, main goal for this operation was to divert attention the attention of Ukrainian public and the public in the West from catastrophic defeat of Zelensky's regime in Artyomovsk, Bakhmut. And unfortunately they did achieve some success in this, because even in Russian media outlets, situation in Belgorod are main topic, and which is obvious. And of course, Western media outlets and Ukrainian media outlets will also probably use this topic to somehow divert public's attention from situation in Artyomovsk or Bakhmut. Let me continue, and this is TASS News Agency's report, which is based on interview of Kirill Budanov, head of Ukrainian military intelligence. This individual did give an interview to Japanese TV company NHK, and during the interview he said that Ukrainian side are ready to conduct counteroffensive, anticipated by many counteroffensive, and they have enough, at least minimum necessary equipment, military equipment and ammunition to start this counteroffensive in closest future, in near future. Well, we all know who Kirill Budanov is. This individual openly said in quite a few interviews now that he and his office, military intelligence of Ukraine, are involved in terrorist attacks on Russian civilians, Russian journalists, Russian public figures. So we all know who this person is. We all know what definition can be given to Ukraine's military intelligence, and if this state institution is not hiding that they are involved in terrorist activity, then we can definitely say that Zelensky's regime itself are involved in all of it. And by the way, we should remember that Hungary has now diplomatic row with Ukraine because of information in Western media that Zelensky was almost demanding to conduct terrorist attack on Druzhba pipeline to cut off oil supplies to Hungary. So, I mean, maybe YouTube administration and the globalists and Western elites don't like when anybody says that Zelensky's regime is a terrorist regime and a Nazi regime, but that's what they really are. That's what they really are. And it's proven, for God's sake. It's not just words. It's facts that are saying exactly this. So YouTube not gonna bully me, man. Zelensky's regime is a terrorist regime, in my opinion, and the Nazi regime. Because you may find hard to find any settlement in Ukraine without streets, squares, buildings that not have a name of Stepan Bandera, for example, this Nazi mass murderer. And as everyone knows, you cannot name streets, squares, and buildings with name of anybody if it's not official decision. So when all over the Ukraine you have facts of heroization of Nazi criminals and mass murderers, then what kind of regime does that? Answer is obvious, isn't it? So yes, YouTube can remove my channel right now. But I will say what I think is right anyway. Let me continue now, and this is Artis. And by the way, when it comes to Ukraine's offensive, even though Budanov is saying that they are ready and they will conduct offensive operations in near future, I have some doubts. I have some doubts really that they will be able to conduct even local scale successful operations because, as I said quite a few times before, Russian side lately was extremely successful to destroy ammunition depots, fuel depots, and military warehouses of Zelensky's regime where they were hiding Western military equipment. You know, I'm interested how many Western main battle tanks were destroyed during these strikes. Unfortunately, there is no information in open sources about it, but probably we all can guess that significant number of Western made military equipment that was delivered recently to Zelensky's regime, especially for this so-called large-scale counteroffensive that Western elites were announcing for how many months now. That equipment is destroyed, quite a large number. But anyway, of course, they can conduct some local-scale offensive operations in Kherson region, in Zaporozhye region, to cut somehow this land bridge between mainland Russia and Crimea. Nothing on the large scale because, as I said many times before, to conduct large-scale operation counteroffensive, they need at least 200,000 to 300,000 military personnel, and they don't have it. They don't have such a reserve. But they do have 70,000, 80,000 militaries concentrated in Zaporozhye, Dnipropetrovsk, Kherson region, and yes, this force is enough to conduct some local scale operations, and we will see in coming days probably because of this Western pressure. And you can see even Japanese media is pressing Zelensky's regime and asking questions about this anticipated by many counteroffensive. Even Japanese, man, where is Japan and where is Ukraine? I mean, but that's narrative. That's main narrative of Western elites. They want to see this offensive, and that's why this topic is not going away. And there's constant talk in media, Western media especially, about this counteroffensive, which will never take place if we are talking about large-scale counteroffensive. But when it comes to, yes, local-scale offensive operations, we will probably see these kind of operations in Kherson and Zaporozhye region. Maybe in some other places also to divert Russian attention. But main forces will be, of course, in direction of this land bridge main attempt to conduct offensive. And I I'm still remaining on my position that maybe Zelensky's regime will have some success on initial stages, like first hours, first few days, but then Russian defense lines will stop them. Ukrainian brigades that are still loyal to Zelensky's regime will run out of steam, and then it will be Russian turn, and the Russian side will decimate these brigades. That's what will happen, and Ukraine will lose. Not Ukraine, Zelensky's regime will use last reserves that they have, and after that we will see beginning of the end of Zelensky's presidency, and Ukrainian armed forces as a whole, as a more or less capable entity. There will be collapse of Ukrainian forces all along the front line. That's my take on it. Let's continue now, and this is RT's report, according to which US Air Force Chief did comment on possible impact of F-16s in the Battle of Ukraine, and US Air Force's Chief Frank Kendall is quite skeptical, really, that F-16s will be some kind of wonder weapons and they will be game changer, because he do understands that Russia is one of the few countries who is capable of deploying integrated air defense systems on the battle, which means that Russia can shut down enemy aerial targets in the long range, on the medium range, and in close range. So to go through this sort of defense line is gonna be difficult, not just for F-16s, but for any plane really, even for F-22s and F-35s, and they are stealths. Even for them will be difficult to operate effectively in these kind of conditions. And F-16 is a great plane, of course, but it's a fourth generation plane. It's not stealth capable, and I mean, I don't really understand why so much buzz about this topic, because in my opinion, deployment of F-16s to this battlefield, introduction of F-16s or Western-made fighter jets to this conflict, in my opinion, is significant because of level of escalation that Western elites are willing to risk. Because these Western-made fighter jets themselves, no matter it's F-16, F-18, French Rafale, for example, Swedish Saab, or just anything else, they will not be able to change the tide, because they are no better than Russian fighter jets, especially Su-27s and modernized Su-27s, S-35s and Su-57s. They are just not better than Russian fighter jets. And then even Western specialists, Western military experts are saying that to make some serious impact on the front line, some 300 to 400 Western-made fighter jets needs to be introduced to the battle. Can you imagine? I don't think European states have so much planes. The US does, of course, but I don't think European states do have 400 or 500 fighter jets to spare. And as I said, yes, F-16 is a great plane, like F-18 is. And I mean, let me say, they are not better than Russian planes, but they are not Western Russian planes. They are more or less equal, because some planes are good in speed and maneuverability, some planes are good in long range targeting, some planes are good on ground work, like F-16s, for example, and F-18s, when F-15s basically are not really effective to be used as a plane for a platform for ground attack operations. So these planes have different good and weak characteristics, but they are all great planes, of course. But yet again, I don't think West will be able to provide Ukraine with not to provide Ukraine, but to introduce to battle so many planes, because after all, no matter what Western is gonna say, that it's Ukrainian pilots and it's alien pilots, and you know, we all know whenever these planes will be introduced to the battle, it will be Western pilots, and all we have left now, and it's only a matter of time, we all understand this, and only question remains, how will Moscow react on it? For now, many of you did write in comments that Moscow is quite soft, and too many red lines were crossed and Moscow did nothing. Well, let's see how Moscow will react when Western-made fighter jets will be introduced to the battlefield. I don't know what will be what will be Kremlin's reaction. Maybe there will be no reaction whatsoever. I mean, I don't know. This is TASS News Agency's report, according to which Borrell, head of EU's diplomacy, did yet again spoke about F-16s, and he said that training of Ukrainian pilots already has begun, and he did mention Poland. Well, as I said, man, this topic of Ukrainian pilots is a smokescreen, so that whenever they will introduce to the battle these Western-made fighter jets, they can have this plausible deniability that it's not NATO fighter pilots, it's Ukrainian pilots. But once again, I mean, question remains how Moscow will react, and from which areas these Western-made fighters will operate, because I guess it's gonna be difficult to use Ukrainian airfields for Western planes, because by the way, just now breaking news that settlements of 9 residents of 9 settlements in a border with Ukraine in Belgorod region were evacuated because of this sabotage group, Ukrainian sabotage group that entered region yesterday. So I guess situation is much more serious in Belgorod region that some Russian media outlets are reporting. But yet again, of course, I will share with you information that will be available from open sources on my Telegram page. But if settlers of 9 villages are evacuated, there is probably reasoning behind this decision, isn't it? So yes, Borrell said that pilots of Ukrainian pilots have already begun training. Okay, who cares? Because we all know this is a smokescreen, and whenever Western fighter jets will arrive to battlefield, we will know that it's NATO planes and NATO pilots. Question is from where, which area these planes will operate from. Ukraine, maybe, but I don't think they will find many airfields in Ukraine that are suitable for Western fighter jets. If they will operate from Poland, Slovakia, Romania, then once again we are end up with question, how will Moscow react on it? And at this point, I don't know what to say. because I just don't know. Maybe there will be no reaction from Moscow. I truly think that there can be no reaction from Moscow, because in my opinion Moscow was also quite soft during the entire this campaign. But let me continue now, and this is also about these fighter jets. This is a main topic, as I said, not just in Western media but also in Russian media. And we have information that Netherlands did receive permission from Washington to conduct training of Ukrainian pilots, and I guess Netherlands will be one of the first states which will openly stated that which will openly come up with statement that they will deliver F-16s and Western-made fighter jets in general to Zelensky's regime. Well, we are heading to serious escalation. We are heading towards serious escalation, and wow, who knows how this story will end, man. And this is TASS News Agency's report, also about Western fighter jets, and this time from Spain, information according to which Defense Minister of Spain, Margarita Robles, said that Madrid cannot train Ukrainian pilots for F-16s, and Madrid cannot provide F-16s to Zelensky's regime because they don't have it. They are operating Eurofighters and F-18 fighter jets. Well, I guess Washington will demand from Madrid to train Ukrainian pilots formally for F-18s and Eurofighters, so that Spain will have this plausible deniability on its hands when Washington will force Madrid to send its planes and its pilots to the battlefield. Just, wait a few days and we will see that Madrid will make statements that they will train Ukrainian pilots for F-18s and Eurofighters. RIA Novosti's report, according to which head of this report is based on interview that head of Federal Intelligence Service of Germany, Bruno Kahl, give to Die Welt media outlet, and in this interview he did said that it's mistake to think that Russian side is lost its military capabilities. He said that Russia is not showing any signs of weakness, and Russian military are not showing any signs of weakness, and he thinks that it will be a mistake if Western elites will have a mistaken idea that they can defeat Russia because Russian militaries are weak. According to German secret services, this is not the case. And I guess German secret service, head of German secret service is correct, because Russia did not even begin yet. And when we'll see full-scale mobilization in Russia, then we can say that gloves are off. And maybe in coming weeks or before end of summer, we will see another wave of mobilization in Russia. Russia did not even begin, for God's sake. And those European elites that have some mistaken ideas should read a little bit more about history, about recent history, about Second World War, for example. Nazi Germany was on outskirts of Berlin, on outskirts of Moscow. And still, Soviet Union and Russia was not defeated. And eventually we know what happened. In a few years' time, it was Soviet Union that established control over the Berlin. So I'm afraid we are heading towards large-scale escalation, and it will be tragic for the world. It will be a tragedy for the world. Let me continue. How long is this video? 30 minutes. Few more news and I will finish. Maybe YouTube administration will not like this update also, and maybe they will delete it, and if that's the case, then I will probably receive strike and I won't be able to upload videos on YouTube at least for a week. But by the way, in that case, I will upload updates on Telegram and Rumble. So we will stay in touch. This is Politico's, this information based on Politico's article, according to which Foreign Minister of Hungary and Foreign Minister of Germany, Baerbock and Szijjártó, had some harsh talk between each other. As we know, Hungary is now blocking EU's 5 million euro package, to military package to Zelensky's regime, because they are demanding sanctions to be removed from Hungary's OTP bank. And looks like Baerbock is not really happy with Hungary and Hungarian foreign policy. And that's why these two had exchange of strong words. Well, if I was on place of Szijjártó, I will just ignore this creature. Because you can talk with similar success with with Wall. And Wall may be a little bit more intelligent than this Baerbock is. So I'm quite sure Szijjártó was unable to explain anything to Baerbock, because it's just impossible. Okay, let's continue. This is RIA Novosti's report, according to which, and by the way, unfortunately, I guess Hungary will be forced by these globalists and their puppets to lift a ban on this transfer of 500 million euros, and that's quite unfortunate. Reality in Europe, when formally sovereign states can do almost nothing to protect themselves from Brussels bureaucrats and from globalists. And they did it to themselves, you know. No one forced them to enter EU, this globalist project, isn't it? Let me continue, and this is RIA Novosti's report, according to which there were some polls in Turkey, conducted some polls, studies and social studies, and according to ARENDA survey, in second tour of presidential elections in Turkey, which will take place on 28th of May, in few days' time, Erdogan will receive 52.4% of the votes, and the main opposition candidate, Kılıçdaroğlu, will receive about 48% of votes. Of course, this is only poll numbers, and I'm quite sure opposition will come up with some other survey in which their candidate is winning. But what is obvious that even if Erdogan will receive more than 50% of votes, he will find it very difficult to maintain office because Western elites almost openly are saying that they will not recognize, in that case, election results, and they will conduct a regime change operation in Turkey. And even Erdogan, just a few days ago, I did read some report that even Erdogan did say that Washington and some other capitals of Western world are planning to conduct regime change operation in Europe. And very same statement was made a little bit earlier by Minister of Internal Affairs of Turkey. So I guess current Turkish government is well informed about the tensions of Western elites, but can they protect votes that they will receive, and can they protect themselves if a majority of Turkish society will decide that it's them should be in power, in government? That's a question. That's a question because Western elites do know how to conduct regime change operations. They have a big experience, huge experience in this. And few more informations about some economical stuff. Russian Prime Minister Mishustin is in China right now. He is participating today, as I understand. He will participate in Chinese-Russian business conference in Shanghai, and then he will visit Beijing, and he will have a meeting with the Chinese leader Xi Jinping and also with Chinese Prime Minister. And during his speech in that conference, Russian-Chinese business forum, Mishustin did say a few words about Russian economy, according to which inflation in May in Russia was less than in any other European country, only 2.3%. I don't know about inflation in EU member states, but in Russia, I'm in Russia, and I can confirm that inflation did slow down quite significantly. And I guess this is not just because of central bank's policy and policy of Ministry of Finance, but also because it's a summertime coming, and on market they are produce of agriculture is filling up market, and prices are just coming down, and we can clearly see deflationary process on some items, some products. We can see deflationary process. For example, tomatoes, they were extremely expensive like months or 2 months ago. For me, expensive. For rich people, they may not even count money, but now prices are lower, and you can buy better quality products. Yet again, because of this period, it's spring and summer, it's always that time when there's too much agriculture products on the market and prices coming down. And not just on agricultural sector, because I guess it's a kind of trend. When trend starts to bring down prices, then some other sectors are also following. So yes, I can confirm that inflation is significantly low now that it was quite some time ago, let's say. But yet again, I don't know about inflation in Europe. I mean, you tell me how inflation is in your country. So yes, I did share information about this, that Mishustin will participate in this forum Russian-Chinese Business Forum, and this is also interesting news, according to which, and that's Mishustin's statement, Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin, who said that Russia and China can cooperate in production of civilian drones. Well, this topic is important for Russia, especially now, and I guess in foreseeable future we will see probably some new manufacturing plants devoted to a drone production. And of course, when you are good enough to produce civilian drones, it's only a matter of time and you will start producing military drones for military purposes also. So it's all about technology and knowledge, and China do have technology and knowledge that they can share with the Russian side, and it will be great if we will see some new manufacturing plants in that regard. And the last news for today's update is about this default topic in US. This is Interfax news agency, which is reporting that Biden and let me translate entirely this. What is that? Wow. So, debt ceiling talks with President Joe Biden have been productive, but an agreement has yet to be reached. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy said so. There is no agreement, at least for now, about this debt ceiling, but we all know this is kind of game which happens almost every year, and eventually, of course, ceiling will go up and US will borrow additional trillions and trillions, and this will continue as long as the US dollar remains its position as main reserve currency in this world. So as I said quite a few times before, there will be no default in USA. It's impossible, in my understanding, not now, for sure. And yes, and no one should want to see default in US, because US is a major economy in this world, and if anything happens in US economy, it will automatically influence world economy. So let's hope everything will be okay. We don't need additional troubles, man, in this world. Situation is enough difficult right now. This is it for now. I hope you will find this video interesting. Sorry, I think that I was talking too slowly. So if that's the case, you can use this option on YouTube to increase speed, and 125 will probably work. There are some days when I do talk a little bit faster, and there are some days like today when I'm kind of sleepy, so sorry about that. So yes, this is it for now. Once again, thank you very much for your support, for your attention. I hope I was quite careful in this update with my comments. But if YouTube will remove this video and strike my channel, well, I will upload additional, other updates on Rumble and on my Telegram page. But yes, let's see what will happen. Have a nice day, and by the way, yes, if you find I have my classic ending. So if you If you find this video interesting, please hit that like button. It's important to deal with this algorithm, which will probably suppress my channel even more now. And please leave some commentary about any topic you like. As you can see, I'm quite active in comment sections, and of course I cannot be next to a notebook all the time, but I'm quite active there. And please, if you can, share links to my videos and my channel with your friends on platforms that you are active on. That could help to increase my, that could help to reach wider audience. And if you think this channel is interesting and deserves to exist, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You will see links under this video in the description box. This is it for now. Have a nice day, take care, and see you soon.